You're listening to Journey for Truth with internationally known medium, Tai Yi practitioner, and radio host Tami Urbanek.
Hello and welcome to Journey for Truth on iHeartRadio and YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Tami Urbanek. On my website, empowermentthroughhealing.org, you can read about the Life Energy Flow Tai Yi Treatment Bonding Intelligence. This is a two-part treatment that helps people really uncover the lies that they've been told, usually in their childhood, that really lodge in the brain, to come to an awareness of those that do drive choices, and then ultimately to heal those lies. Again, there's more description on that on my website, empowermentthroughhealing.org. If you're on Facebook, join the Integrating the Teachings of Jonah group on Facebook, and in that group you can join in different rich discussions, ask questions, ask for clarifications, and just really learn more about the teachings of Jonah. My guest this week is Dwayne, author of Alpha Chick, 5 Steps from Moving from Pain to Power. Mal has had quite the life and did struggle with some addictions, and she was able to really dig herself out of that, recover from that, and then build a multi-million-dollar business, and then become an author of an award-winning book. Mal, welcome.
Oh, Tami, it's so great to be with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Now, you struggled with alcoholism in your younger years. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, it all started when I was 16. I had been bullied as a teenager because I was very tall and very thin. So I looked different. Mm-hmm. And my friends let me know that I looked different. And they gave me cruel nicknames like malnutrition and malfunction. Those names stayed with me. They were embedded in my mind and created this feeling of worthlessness and that I was inferior to these kids. And so my best friend became Colt 45 malt liquor, and I had my first blackout before I got out of high school.
Wow.
Sadly, alcohol got its hooks into me. It was a wonderful Band-Aid for the pain that I felt. But it got to a point 25 years later where it wasn't working. And in fact, I was just getting deeper and deeper into a black hole where I thought that death was my best option.
Wow. Now, your career was in modeling, correct?
Yes. And so what was very interesting was that when I started modeling, it was like a mask. I could show up every day and be anybody but Mal, with all the makeup and the hair and the exotic clothes and traveling. Mm. So people would look at that and say, oh my God, she has the most amazing life. They didn't know who was behind the mask. There was no one there. I felt empty. I had no hope. I had a death wish. I wanted to die. But people just assumed by what they saw in magazines and TV that here was this girl that had this fabulous life. And it was just the opposite.
We still see that, especially now with social media and everyone having a place to comment on different people. And the latest rocker, I think his name was Chris Cornell, if I recall correctly, who killed himself. And then Robin Williams was having a lot of difficulty. You see these different celebrities and you find out how bad they were struggling, how much depression they carried, the different medications they were on. And you think, wow, why would they be struggling? They have fame, they have money, they have success, they have all these things. Why would they possibly be struggling? But I think people don't understand that money doesn't take away depression. It might be able to help treat depression, but it doesn't take it away. Fame doesn't take away depression.
Fame, money does not create self-worth. And that's where people really need to start to understand what is success. It's really about being happy. Mm-hmm. And so you see, as you said, many of these celebrities and entertainers who have taken their own lives because behind the scenes, they were lost souls. They were depressed. And I believe in every single one of them, it was a challenge of self-worth. And even though from the exterior, everything looked great, inside, they were living in fear. They were paralyzed. They were crippled by their unworthiness.
Exactly. And I think people continue to have this misperception. And then when I see a celebrity coming out to talk about an issue that is close to their heart, usually around politics or something that's going on globally or nationally, I'll read a lot of comments where people are stating, you're supposed to be eye candy. You don't have the right to talk about politics. You're supposed to be doing your job, acting or singing. You don't know anything about the real world. And that always upsets me, because how do you know that? How do you know that different celebrities don't know about the real world, that they don't know struggle, that they don't identify with people who might be considered, let's say, average, for lack of a better word right now? And everyone is going through their own personal struggles, as you did, and you were able to move your way out of it. So how did you do that?
Well, first I had to get sober.
Yeah.
That was step one. We had to deal with the alcohol. And so I, full board on with AA, worked a program, went to meetings every day. And when I walked into those rooms, Tami, I felt like I was home for the first time in my life. Because those people understood me. They got it. They felt exactly the same way I did. I have never felt such comfort and acceptance in my entire life. And that really started the foundation for me to heal and recover. But from there, I started to realize I never struggled with alcohol again. It's very unusual. I stopped drinking, and I never struggled with alcohol again.
Wow.
Which is not normally the way the story goes.
Mm-hmm.
What inspired me to get into AA was I gotten to a point where I wanted to commit suicide. And I was contemplating how I was going to die. And that night, I heard a different voice in my head that said, no, I could not leave now. I had lessons to learn. And when I mastered those lessons, I would need to go and help others. And at first it didn't make sense to me, but shortly into my recovery, I said, something's going on here. I've been spared. I've been saved. I need to look at what are these lessons that I need to learn. And I just, maybe it was trading one addiction for another, but I went just headfirst into studying about the powers of personal transformation, self-help books. I took courses. I had coaches, mentors. I started spiritual practices. I've been meditating for 30 years now, almost 30 years. I have 29 years of recovery. And I understood after maybe 1,000 books, everything from Adyashanti to Gary Zukav, what it was. It was my own thinking that created my suffering.
Yes.
How simple is that? It's not what happened to me, or what somebody said to me, or the fact that somebody broke up with me and ended a relationship. It's my own thinking about those things that kept me in such deep pain and created the addiction.
I completely agree. It's our response to events that happen, not just the events that occur to us or the events that we participate in, but our response to it. And that makes a huge difference and can feed that cycle of self-punishment, self-abuse, self-denial, as you were stating. And there comes to a point, hopefully, that a person will discover their own power in being able to change and transform their manner of thinking, their manner of processing and responding. What did you discover about yourself that you thought, your aha moment, let's say?
Well, my aha moment was when I realized I had caused my own suffering. And that was a huge realization. And then I said, well, if that's the source of my pain, what about other people that are addicted? Is it their thoughts that is causing them to drink, to drug, whatever, substance they choose? And in most cases of people that I interviewed and spoke to, it absolutely came down to what they were thinking about the things that happened to them. I mean, it was just this incredible realization that as human beings, we have a choice. And I never knew that until I got to this point and realized I can choose how I think. And how I think is going to determine how I'm going to feel. Mm-hmm. And how I feel is going to determine my actions and what I do. I mean, it was like a domino effect. My life changed dramatically, very, very quickly. I had within 12 months of starting my recovery, I really started to experience great transformation and started to build a business within that time frame that ultimately went on to become a very large multi-million-dollar business because I figured it out. I had power to choose, and I never knew that before.
Exactly, and that is right in alignment with the work that I do in working with people and helping them understand we always have a choice. We always get to choose which pathway we're going to walk. We get to choose what energy we're going to hold on to, what events we're going to hold on to, and make worse or heal and transform as you did. And you actually segued right into my next question. How did you build such a successful business?
Well, once I became really focused on my inner strengths and untapping that business capability that was within me, but I had been drowning out because of the alcohol and the pain, once I put all those things aside, I was starting to, open up to different choices, looking at my business in a very real way. How can I build it? And it was amazing. I got a business coach to map out what I wanted to do. And ultimately what I wanted was, early in my real estate career, was to have my own corporation. I didn't want to work for somebody else. I wanted to work for myself. If I'm going to work that hard, I want to work for myself. Mm-hmm. And in a very short span of time, I had my own corporation. And I never looked back. Now, I became incorporated in 2000. And of course, 2001 came and the real estate market went in the toilet because of 9/11. But you know what? I still had a fabulous year because I had such a belief in my skill set. I mean, I studied hard. I worked hard. I got every designation you can get in real estate. I didn't just wing it. I mean, I applied myself. Mm-hmm. And I learned as much as I could. And I also saw early in my career that the internet was going to have a huge impact. And in 1996, 97, I already had a website. I was doing virtual tours of homes, putting it on properties. I had multiple listing on my website, one of the only agents in the area to do that. So I was way ahead of everybody else as far as, online marketing. I saw the advantage of embracing technology and putting it to work for me. And it worked brilliantly because all of a sudden I'm getting 5,000 leads a week of people looking for homes. It was like they were just spitting out. I'm like, oh my God, what have I created? This thing's becoming a monster. It's more than I can handle. So then I was hiring buyer agents left and right and saying, just take this lead, just take this lead, just take this lead. I don't have time. And so now I'm up to 13 agents that are running around and showing properties. It was truly just a joy. I mean, I loved every minute of it. It was my passion.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. You had commitment to change, for one, and then you had focus and drive, and then you had the knowledge and the foresight to say, oh, this is going to be huge. The internet's going to be huge, and I need to tap into this right now. I need to be one of the first ones to tap into this in the manner that you did, and you were able to really drive that. And I think that's the big piece. You were willing to work. You were willing to work and work hard. Every once in a while, I'll hear someone say, I don't want to work for someone else. I want to work for myself, which is fine. But sometimes that's coming from a place of, I don't want to have to work that hard. And I don't want someone telling me what to do. Rather than, if I'm going to work as hard as I need to, I want that coming back to me, which was your intent and your point, and you blossomed. That's a fabulous story.
Money doesn't grow on trees, as my mother always said to me. It's a crazy expression, but you have to lay the groundwork. You've got to build the foundation for any kind of business that you want. And that's what I did. I built a foundation, and then, I kept implementing and bringing in new things and trying new concepts and being adventurous and creative.
Yes.
I wasn't afraid anymore because I had the power of choice, and I put it in play.
Now tell us about your book, Alpha Chick, 5 Steps for Moving from Pain to Power.
Well, it's like a toolbox for women. I share my journey of the alcoholism, the destruction, so that women can identify with me and realize that what I did is real, and they can do it too. Mm-hmm. That's why, I wrote the book, was really as an inspirational tool for women. So the first half is memoir. The second half, I share 5 steps that I used over and over and over and over again to build the business that I wanted to build and to write the book. When I was a kid in school, in elementary school, I had to take remedial reading classes because I was challenged.
Wow.
So, to think that I would write a book later in life was just the biggest long shot. I not only wrote it, but I self-published it, then launched it to number 1 and 2 in Canada and 11 in the United States by using the internet, yes, by using social media, by putting all of that, again, doing the same thing that I did in real estate. I replicated it for the book. So there are 5 steps in there that I teach, which is focus. Instead of looking outside of ourselves for solutions to our problems, we need to come in. We need to bring our attention in, because everything we need to know is already within us. Yes. All the answers are there. And my meditation practice really enhanced that for me. And that's how I got such clarity and just so focused about the things that I wanted to create. Because my mind quieted down and I was able to just get very quiet, shut that ego down, and allow my heart's desires to come out.
Really determine what you want, exactly, which I think a lot of people struggle with.
Oh, they don't know what they want, so right. That's a big problem. The second step is awareness. I became aware of all the things that I had resisted in my life, that had held me back, that I had attached myself to, that were defining me as a woman, and it was ridiculous. They were the past. They had no meaning in my life today, and I learned to let go of those things and accept them so that I could move forward with my own life. And it required a lot of forgiving, not only of other people, but of myself. And my third step was intentions. Mm-hmm. I became very deliberate about what I wanted to do. And I use the word intention because I think goals are nice. They're like a written wish on paper. Mm-hmm. But to me, intention has the soul of the universe behind it. It's a very strong, energetic attraction. And so I set intentions every day on what I wanted to do, what I wanted to create, how I was going to go about that. They were magnets for attracting what I wanted.
Absolutely. I have been told by my teacher that the intention is the building block to the outcome. So in other words, it determines the outcome. So if a person's coming from an intention of fear, they create more fear. If a person's coming from an intention of self-empowerment, choice, as you've been talking about, then that's what they end up creating. So I love that. What was the next one?
Thoughts. Because thoughts are energy. And we get to control our thoughts. Nobody else gets to do that for us. And I just needed to train the way that I was thinking. And so the first lesson I got about that was from Tony Robbins in 1992. And he talked about putting an elastic band on your wrist. And when you find yourself thinking negative thoughts, beating yourself up, you pull that elastic band and let it go. He still wears one, by the way. Because I was in California with him about 12 weeks ago, and he still wears that elastic, and he talks about it. It was a very powerful practice. It became a trigger. So when I was having my ego saying, oh, Mel, you can't do that. Oh, you're not good enough. You're not smart enough to do that. I pulled that elastic band and it hurt. And it was a great reminder.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Now I'm a little bit more proficient and I tap on my forehead. It breaks my train of thought. And I know, drop that conversation, get into more empowering beliefs and thoughts. And the fifth step is helping others. Because when we're truly empowered, we are standing strong, we're centered, we are focused, we're living by our own choices. That's when we need to go out and help others and teach others to do the same thing.
Absolutely.
Well, you're just a pebble in the pond. Mm-hmm. We can, and by helping others, and then they go and help others, we can change the planet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes I hear people say, well, but there's so many other people out there helping other people. Well, that could be true, but there's 7 billion people on this planet. And there's a good size of that population who do want change and do want to heal. And the thing that I love here is that you are walking your talk. You are living what you're teaching. And that makes it very authentic. And then when it's delivered to a client or to a friend or to whomever, it really builds that authenticity and it builds your own empowerment as well. You can so much more effectively assist people when you have gone through that process yourself. So you went through these steps yourself. You lived by these steps, and now you teach those steps because you know they work. And that makes it so powerful.
I'm not claiming that life is perfect. And just when I thought I knew it all, Tami, and I had really mastered this game, a big cosmic 2x4 came by and hit me on the head and knocked me to my knees. And I discovered a betrayal in my marriage, and it couldn't be fixed. And I ended up getting divorced. I was heartbroken and shattered. But instead of being down and not being able to get up, this time I proceeded through a very difficult process with grace and gratitude. I made my own choices that were in alignment with my soul and advocating for myself so that I was able to get through this, stay on the high road, and get it done.
Beautiful. And where can people find more information about you and your book?
MalDwayneCoach.com. And the book is on Amazon, Alpha Check. And I always reach out to me in Facebook, and I will reply personally. And it's just such an honor to spend this time with you.
Thank you so much, Mal, for being a guest on my show this week. And thank you, listeners, for joining me here as well on Journey for Truth and iHeartRadio and YouTube. Until next time, have a fantastic week.